looking? One finger. Good. All right, thanks everybody for coming. It's a great crowd, very full. Like, I think we were kind of double booked, which is fantastic. Before we kick off, a quick question, like who's part of the community? Who's part of the free trade community? Just go raise your hands. Nice, thanks Adam. All right, cool. Who uses the app? All right, so everyone that's got their hands down, if you check out this QR code over here, or this one over here, you can scan that right now and you can get yourself signed up for a free share, £200 worth of share. No, nothing you have to do other than sign into the app and do the KYC process. Up to. Not guaranteed, you're quite right. Although I think you're going to be in with a very good chance tonight, if I'm honest. Not if you have the app already. Those without the app, sorry about that. So get signed up now, sign yourself in. All right, cool. So let's give you a quick intro who's going to be talking tonight. Myself, Ian, CTO. Tim joined us like over 12 months ago now. He was part of the original team that launched the beta app, along with Matthias, who's just down there at the back. He was a senior software engineer then. He became an engineering manager, and he now is a senior engineering manager and manages the largest team in the organization, which is the Invest team, which is outstanding. Kirsten joins about 6 months ago. She's the one that's going to make sure that we deliver this on time and we deliver it properly with all the appropriate things checked, and that it builds the product that you guys expect to see. For those that don't know, our mission is to build an investment product that makes investing accessible to everybody. And building the investment platform, what we're going to talk about more tonight, is the biggest milestone we have on that roadmap. It's one of the most significant things we're going to do. Just to give you a bit of backstory about what we've been doing over the last 12 months, we launched our beta app back in September. First person, September 18th. We've now got 70,000 users who've onboarded into the app. We've taken 20 million in funding, thanks in part to some of the people who are here tonight. We won the British Bank Award for the best investment app was the title that we got, which is outstanding. We've had 40 million user actions in that time. That's somebody placing a trade, instant trade, basic trade, placing a deposit. And we've done all that with 0 servers. Now, anyone who's technical will kind of maybe raise an eyebrow there. Obviously, there were some servers involved, and Tim will talk more about that. But principally, we didn't have to look after them. And all of that work has come from people like Tim and Kirsten who talk tonight, people like Matthias and Alexandra at the back, the 60-plus team that we now have. This is a quote from our community. Since most roads lead back to the investment platform, why not give a detailed update on what it is and what it does when we can roughly expect it? So that's part of what we're going to talk about tonight. Another nice quote is the investment platform comes across as a mystical magic bullet. Answers to everything, and let's hope it is. And to tell us more about whether or not it is a mystical magic bullet and if it's going to solve everything is Tim. If you give a nice round of applause.
All right. Am I on? Can you hear me okay? Is that level all right, Sam? We good? Good. All right. Thank you very much, Ian. So, as he very kindly said, I'm an engineering manager heading up the Invest team, biggest engineering team, or cross-functional team in Freetrade, and we are building the Invest platform, which is a new addition to what we have at Freetrade, and it's built on serverless technology. So the title of this talk is building a fintech platform with serverless, so I thought it would be appropriate to first address the question, so what is serverless? What does it do for us? So as Ian alluded to before, serverless doesn't mean no servers. What it means for us is no servers that we actually have to worry about. Effectively, what we're doing is outsourcing our infrastructure, our hardware, and in our case, and fittingly given the venue, we're outsourcing our infrastructure to the Google Cloud platform. And it has a whole range of quite great benefits for us. So first and foremost, kind of obvious, right? No need to actually manage physical servers, which is quite a departure from what you would traditionally have to do, like buying stuff, setting it up, making sure it doesn't catch on fire, making sure it's got power. The second point is an interesting one that it's actually quite powerful, like for an organization, which is that we pay only for utilization. So with that traditional server where you actually got to pay for it up front, maybe you lease it, and then you pay for all the running costs involved in it, and you hope to hell that you got your sizing right, that you didn't like overbuy and over provision. With serverless, we pay only for what it is that we use, right? So whether that's like a tiny fraction of a single machine in Google's data center, or if Freetrade gets even more popular than it is now, like scales up to several machines across multiple data centers, we pay only for what we are using at any given time, which is a huge departure from how things used to be done previously. And so kind of hand in hand with that auto scaling of cost is the fact that it auto scales, right? So we have some amazing piece of news. Everyone just wakes up one day and realizes they really want to invest. Freetrade's user base goes through the roof. This thing just scales up for us, which is a pretty powerful thing. Previously, you would have I don't know, your server would have caught fire, and you go, oh, all right, we need to buy another one of those and put it in the rack. Or you've got way too many servers running for a period of time. So that auto scaling aspect is again a very powerful thing. The final point is kind of an interesting one. So high availability. Freetrade's mission is to make, what is it? It's the investing accessible to everyone. Like our goal is to make the best investment app that we can, right? Our goal is not to set up the best data center, the best like server rack that we can. That's a means to an end to actually achieve the thing that we want to do. So we feel that we're making the right call in outsourcing that to someone who does it, quite frankly, like much better than we could do at this stage, right? These guys are like world scale. The SLAs and the uptime on the services we are using are like 99.99, depending on the service you're using, like add a few extra nines. Like this stuff is world class, and we can spin it up at like literally at the press of a button. So like serverless brings like a whole raft of amazing things. So what are we doing with this serverless technology? This is our stack very roughly as it is kind of today. Like our launch stack, we've changed it a little bit, but so you can see all the stuff in the fabulous like Freedom Pink is stuff that Freetrade directly controls. So on the far side, you've got our app, our mobile app, and that interacts directly with something that we've termed internally. It doesn't get talked about externally so much, but something called the client platform. And so when you place a trade, that's what you're talking to. And that, in essence, is a Google Cloud project, a Firebase project, and it uses a whole bunch of really like powerful technologies. So we've got cloud functions, like Lambda functions. If you're AWS type, these are those wonderful little like ephemeral things that pop up exactly when you need them and then disappear when you don't charge you anything in the meantime. PubSub for messaging. Cloud Composer is an interesting one that does a lot of workflow orchestration for us. It's quite powerful. It's actually the Apache Airflow project under the hood, for those of you who are from a technical background. And so Stackdriver for logging, and BigQuery for analysis and working into our data pipeline as well. And the extra one I've got here, which is kind of an interesting feature of like Google Cloud Platform and Firebase, is the real-time database. So this is one of those wonderful serverless, like scaling, auto-scaling NoSQL databases. But the really interesting aspect of it is that it ships with mobile SDKs. So you can subscribe directly, like from your mobile app, subscribe directly to areas of interest in the database. And the thing keeps the socket connection open, and within milliseconds of something interesting happen, you get notified about it. So like a good example from our space would be that we have like a single little record in the database that represents the market, whether the market is open or closed. All that we have to do from one of our little cloud functions is toggle that market from, say, closed to open, and without us having to do like really anything else, within milliseconds, everyone who has the app open is instantly notified that the market is now open, literally within milliseconds. And that's quite a departure from like what you might do with traditional methods, like maybe like polling or like some sort of complex orchestration of this sort of notification. So we get a lot of bang for our buck with the real-time database, and it really has simplified the apps, like the client apps that we build. The other half of this diagram is all the boring gray stuff. So this is stuff that we don't directly control. A couple of these things is fair enough. So the market, where you place your order, and Crest, where you do settlement. That's like the register that like says like when you actually buy something, yes, here's your stock. The other party takes the cash. So it's fair enough that we don't control these things, but so this was a strategic decision that we took to be able to launch. We have a third party that provides our books and records. So that's like how much cash do you have, how much stock do you have. That's our route to market as well. So when you say Freetrade, I want to buy some Tesla, we say to this third party, we need to buy some Tesla, and they go out to the market on our behalf and your behalf. And then finally settlement, which is that Crest portion that I mentioned previously. So this isn't a bad stack. Like the client platform in particular is scaling like beautifully with like we're up to like 70,000 customers now, like amazingly. But like we are hitting some challenges now, and we've reached the opinion that whilst this is quite good, it's not going to provide us what we need to scale into the future, and we need to make a change. And so what we are working on right now, many of you will have heard of if you're a part of the community, is the Invest platform. And so with it, the diagram changes to look something like this. So the first thing you're going to notice is there's a whole lot more freedom pink here now. So we literally like control everything from the app all the way up to the market. We're taking control of the stack like end to end, which is not a small thing. And we're also doing some like very important stuff. So we are now your books and records, not this third party. So if you lose a penny, you need to come and talk to me. You won't lose a penny, but like we are taking on that responsibility. Also the route to market, the settlement, and it's all using the same kind of technology. So it's Google Cloud Platform, using a bunch of the same sort of stuff, Cloud Functions, PubSub, all those good things, with the addition of a couple of extra ones that we're not using so much in the client platform. So one of those is Cloud SQL. We found that for the back of house operations, like brokerage type operations, the NoSQL databases with their limited querying capability aren't really suited for the back of house operations. So we've added in some Cloud SQL, but that doesn't face like users and user demand at all. So it's not a limiting factor in how we scale, which is a really nice thing. And the other aspect that we've got there as well is the Cloud Firestore, which is a different type of database that gives us more transactional capabilities that we don't have with the real-time database, which is important for that books and records aspect I was talking about before, and that we can go into a little bit more detail in later. But a few interesting points about this diagram that are worth pointing out is that line there going from invest back to the client platform is really important. And so on day one of launching the Invest platform, this is probably like one of the biggest sort of quality of life improvements that all our users are going to notice. So we are making the client platform and the Invest platform, like in contrast to that other third party, we're making them a lot more tightly integrated. A good example would be something like a dividend. So a dividend originates in the Invest platform with our brokerage ops team. They issue you some amount of pennies or pounds, depending on your investment. And literally as soon as that hits the Invest platform, it proactively, like a push notification, proactively pushes that to the client platform, and through that like wonderful real-time database we were talking about before, you know about that within like typically under a second. You know that thing has occurred. With the previous setup, a lot more loosely integrated, and we're having to resort to things like polling, and maybe you'll find out about it in a while. So with this setup, it's like more or less instantaneous, the kind of updates that you're going to get. That's going to make a huge difference to people. The second point kind of follows on from that, which is these things are still separate, right? So you might, and very reasonably, say to me, Tim, you're You're using like very similar technologies on both. They're both Google Cloud projects. You control both of them. Why aren't they the same thing? This is ultimately it's a design decision that we've taken. This isn't something necessarily prescribed by serverless or Google Cloud, but as engineers, we've taken the decision that these things have separate concerns, you might say. So the client platform is where we power your activity feed and give you the best graph and like nice quick updates and stuff. And the invest platform, by contrast, is the place where we're like, we will not lose a penny or one of your stocks like ever. And so different constraints and considerations come in there. Potentially different teams working on some of this stuff, and certainly different release cycles. So that's a design decision that we've made. And finally, last point is this. So again, for the techie amongst you, I've got this stack of VMs there in the corner. That's not serverless. And try as we might to make as serverless a platform as we can, it's not 100% serverless for reasons that I'll get to in a couple of minutes. So on from that. So why are we doing this? It's a massive undertaking, right? Absolutely massive undertaking. This is it. So it's for our clients. Like we've come to the opinion that nobody cares about our clients as much as we do, and by taking control of more of our stack, we gain like agility and control, the ability to direct like exactly what our priorities are. So we poll our customer base, and we find that the most important thing that you want, say, like for the sake of argument, say, is fractional shares. That third party doesn't support fractional shares, and they might not anytime soon. With us taking control of our stack, we can throw as many engineers as we see fit to try and get you the outcome that we know that you want and that we want as well. So that's control is a huge aspect of it. Additionally, by using these kind of serverless technologies that we've proven out with the client platform, we think that we can get better reliability and scalability than we're currently getting from this third party. There's the tighter integration that I've kind of already gone into, and then it enables a whole raft of new features like the fractional shares, just as one example. But also by we connect to the market ourselves now, so we can connect to a whole bunch of different markets. We can do whatever you and we want, really. There's no one else holding us back. So this is probably the geekiest slide of the whole thing, but it's something that's worth mentioning in the context of the books and the records and us not losing your money. So something that has given us the confidence and hopefully you confidence that we can manage your pennies and your pounds and never lose one is a design pattern called event sourcing. So for those of you that aren't familiar with it, it's really quite interesting if you're an engineer. What it's all about is not storing your current state. You store all the events, that's the event sourcing, all the events that got you to that current state. It's much the same way as your bank account works. So you don't just say, like, Tim has £100 in his bank account. You say, Tim started off with £0 in his bank account. He deposited 10, he bought something, he sold something, he deposited some more, and eventually, through all these series of actions, he ended up with £100. What this means is that any meaningful change in the system we know about, we can replay the system up to certain points to find out what was the state of the... All right, so that's what we're doing sort of technology-wise. What is this actually meant for us? Obviously, serverless means less time on infrastructure, right? We have 60 plus people, a whole bunch of engineers. We have no IT department, which like if you've been involved in any sort of like traditional like technology-oriented company, that is a huge deal. Like we've just got engineers focused on features and security people to make sure we don't do anything stupid. Yeah, that's it, which is amazingly powerful. So we don't spend our time managing hardware. We've got no security patching other than the actual code we cut. So we're not patching Windows servers or anything of that like. And by contrast, we have this amazing ability to spin up literally at the press of a button, like these fully managed auto-scaling services, which is just incredibly powerful. So we spend a lot less time on this stuff. So what do we spend that time on? We spend more time on product. Yeah, we have less bloat in the IT space. So we've got smaller cross-functional teams, which makes us more agile. And again, with that spinning stuff up at the press of a button, we can iterate a lot faster. And ultimately, we spend that time crafting features, features that people are asking for and that the company needs. And that is a very good segue to Kirsten to talk about product.
Cool, thanks. I think in terms of sound, are we good, Sam? All good? Thank you very much. Okay, so yeah, as Ian and Tim kindly outlined earlier, I am the product manager for the Invest platform, and I joined Freetrade earlier on this year, around about summertime. And for me, one of the first things which I kind of realized was I was reading so much about the Invest platform, and it was much heralded, but really, what does it mean for our customers, and why is it so important? So when I then actually joined Freetrade, and I got kind of thrown into the deep end a little bit in the invest side, I was obviously coming from a kind of banking and payments background, obviously a kind of keen advocate of the Freetrade product and a keen investor, a little bit of a hobbyist, but I wouldn't say I'm kind of an invest kind of brokerage operations whiz. I was kind of like, okay, so why is the invest platform so important? And then I quickly realized basically it is the engine room for trading and settlement, and basically powers everything that we take for granted in the front-end customer experience. So as you can see here, for those of you who are familiar with our roadmap, which is obviously open to everyone to see, we don't like to do things by half measures at Freetrade. We like to set ourselves very ambitious targets. So there's a lot of features on here which we've committed to delivering in the next kind of 6 months. But what of these features are actually powered by the Invest platform? Oops. A little bit too far. So as you can see, with everything kind of tagged with our Freetrade logo down there, there's a lot of stuff here which is actually enabled by the Invest platform, and I'll just touch on a few of those now. So the first cool thing, which I think actually, well, a little bit of a kind of geek, so maybe not, but one of the first things I think is the most important for me as a customer is the fact that right now, when I really want to place a trade, and I know that particular stock is potentially going to go up in value over the next few days, and I really, really want to place that trade really quickly, I go into my app and I try to upload a deposit through Apple Pay. And unfortunately, because we don't have that kind of sleek integration right now between our third-party platform and the client platform at the front end, it just takes about half an hour to 45 minutes. It's a little bit painful and not ideal for a customer. But now, with Invest, when we go live in the next month or so, we will have instant deposits in the app, which basically means that at the flick of a button, when you actually upload your deposit via Apple Pay and Google Pay, it will be there instantly, which is great. Other things which we're also delivering as well in terms of features is the ability to have way more US stocks. And when I say way more, I mean about 10 times more US stocks, and across a whole range of industries and sector types as well, which is fantastic. And I think another feature which, kind of judging by the community request groups and just general feedback as a whole, one of the most requested features from our customers is fractionals. People really want to buy a stake in the likes of Amazon and Tesla and Google, but let's be honest, we don't all have a grand just to kind of drop into one of those stocks right now, do we? So how do I make sure that I can basically have a stake in that company without outlaying a grand, basically? So with Invest, we will be actively working on developing and launching fractional shares, both for US trades and stocks, and also for UK and European stocks as well. So basically, keep engaged. Those features will be dropping very soon. And now we have demo a demo of fractionals, which I believe is the first kind of demo that potentially you as community users will have seen. So here we go. This is basically a demo of the US stocks fractional buy flow. Oh. Yeah, I was doing it with the mouse. 1 second. 1 sec. Don't know why that's not going. Oh, perfect. Here we go. So I'm buying with £100 of cash, placing an instant order, and that gives me 0.38 fractional shares in Tesla. So there you go. If you're getting any Christmas present ideas, stay posted. Okay, so to recap, obviously you've heard some great content from Tim and Ian tonight, and hopefully you've been inspired by some of the product features that we're hoping to ship in the very near future. So basically, why does the Invest platform matter? Well, first of all, it really matters to us because it will help us scale our users by about 10 times the amount. And when we say scale, it will help us scale in a really sustainable and future-proof way. It will also enable new features like fractionals, 10 times US shares, EU shares, and way more things as well. And most importantly, for you as customers, it will give you a much better app experience as well. And general announcement, but very exciting announcement to be had, is that the migration to our Invest platform has actually started today. So you will be seeing changes. So all those things we mentioned around kind of instant top-ups through Apple Pay and Google Pay, as you're kind of migrated across in the next few weeks, you will start to actually realize some of those amazing product features, and hope you enjoy it. And we'll now open up the floor to any questions that you may have, so feel free